Hello. It's good to see you. Today we are here to do a little bit of rambling about Halloween and other holidays from when I was a kid. I mentioned in the Goodwill jewelry video I did, I think yesterday, I think it was just last night, that there was an incident during trick-or-treating when I was a kid, and I only got to go trick-or-treating once, and I said that's a story for another time. So I'm going to tell you that story in this video. But we're going to talk about other stuff too. I was thinking about it this evening. Okay, I've been out riding around for a good part of the day today. My older son has his learner's permit and he needed some driving practice, so we drove up to Virginia to see my dad, and so we were up there for a little while. But then it was raining really hard when we left, so I had to drive us back through the rain. He didn't feel comfortable enough. He hasn't been driving that long and didn't want to get on the interstate in the rain, so I had to drive us back. But before I show you that, I wanted to show you this stuff is totally unrelated to anything I'm going to talk about, but it's really cool, and I wanted to show you. I went to this antique store the other day, and just to look around and see what they had, and I found some stuff. If you remember Tupperware from the 80s, you may remember these measuring cups. I got this set of 3 orange Tupperware measuring cups. They were only $3.25, and it's just the 3. I mean, there were others that came with this set. I remember because my mom had this exact set. She had them in orange, and we had a gallon-sized pitcher that was the same color orange. The reason I got these, though, was because if you've bought measuring cups, you may have noticed that it's hard to find measuring cups that have a 2/3 cup and a 3/4 cup. Okay, with these 3, you get a 2/3, a 3/4, and a whole and 1 cup. I bought it for these two, the 2/3 and the 3/4, because you can't find measuring cups this size. Every set of measuring cups I have, it's 1/4, 1/2, 1/4, 1/3, 1/2, and 1 cup, and that's it. You don't have 2/3 and 3/4. So it was only $3.25, so I went ahead and got it. I thought it was awesome. I was going to eat in this video. I have something here. Look at this. If you like okra, this stuff is great. This is here. There's this little produce place on the way to my dad's house that I always stop at, and they have these okra chips. Now they have tons of things. They have all kinds of candies and things, and they have this, I don't know what you call it. It's like dehydrated stuff. You can get all kinds of mixes of this, but I saw they had okra. They had okra, green beans. They had mixed vegetables. I really like okra, and I haven't had any in a while, so I thought I would get these okra chips. They were $3.72. And the thing is, though, I had never tried these before. They definitely smell like okra. My mother used to make this really good fried okra, and I think I made it in a video one time, but it didn't turn out too well. I think I messed up something. Now, I don't like okra any other way because it tends to be slimy. Some people make boiled okra, but it's very slimy. I can't stand it. But I tried a piece of this a minute ago, and it is insanely crunchy. Now, some of the pieces are really, really crunchy and kind of hard. I don't know if I want to eat this in this video or not. That one's not too bad. I may eat a little bit, but not a lot. Another thing I didn't really think about when I started thinking about making this video was that I don't know how much of this I can eat before I get sick of it and I don't want any more. I think it's a very low threshold of I can't take any more of this. Yeah, but it's now normally okra is not crunchy. I have eaten it raw before. See, we had this massive garden every year when I was a kid. I mean, huge garden, and we always grew okra. We grew the green kind, but we also, in July, we would grow red okra. Late July, early August, in the hottest part of the summer, we would grow red okra, and it has a slightly different taste from the green okra. It's hard to describe, but it's different. And my mother would usually just fry it. That's the way we normally ate it. We ate a lot of fried okra. I don't think I can eat a lot of that. It's good. But I can't eat it throughout this video. I think I'll get sick of it. Anyway, I found this other thing in this antique store. I was going to make a video in there, but it had super loud music. I may go back sometime and do a video and then just dub over some commentary, because they had some really cool stuff in there. There was this one booth in particular. I would like to meet the person who owned this stuff, because they had the craziest stuff. It was so random and weird. They had a giant metal ram, like a ram, and it was made out of these pieces of twisted metal. It was really big. It was about, I don't know, 4 feet tall. It was about $1,600 and really heavy, but it was cool. And then they had these things that looked like giant tusks, and they were made out of pieces of bovine bone, like cow bones, that had been cut and placed together on these giant tusks. And these tusks were about 4 feet, at least 4 feet tall. And they had these intricate carvings on them. And the pair was $3,600. I remember that. But they are so incredibly ornate. It's insane. I mean, I can't imagine how long it took to make those things. So there's that. Oh, and they had this big Jesus hanging, but it looked like he was wearing shorts. It was very strange. Oh, and they had this chair that looked like it was made out of solid wood, and it looked like a hand. It was like a hand like this, and it kind of came out on the sides like this here, and it was just carved out of solid wood. It's really neat. Like, where do you find this stuff? Who is this person? I don't know, but it was all in the same booth. It's very weird. Most of the stuff there was your standard antique store kind of stuff. Lots of furniture, very pretty furniture. Lots of dishes. They even had an old TV from the 50s. It was really cool. But one thing I found, I want to see if I can pick these up without clanking them too hard. Look at these mixing bowls. Now, these are from the 80s. I don't think you really call it vintage. Well, I guess now if it's the 80s, that was a while ago. Look at the pretty array. These are just mixing bowls. And they're made out of melamine or Melmac or whatever that weird plastic type stuff is. But it has little flecks of different colors in it. They all do, and they're all different. So the smallest one is this little fuchsia bowl right here. But you can see all the little flecks in it. That's pretty. And then the next one is sort of it's a really pretty blue. Ooh. I thought these would be fun to use in our cooking videos. I don't really have any matching mixing bowls. Well, I do now because I bought these. Here's one that's kind of a lime green color. I got in trouble for my last cooking video. Somebody reported it. Apparently several people flagged it as inappropriate because of my shirt. It got demonetized, and now for the next 2 weeks all of my videos are going to be manually reviewed because of that. So unfortunately, y'all know the shirt I'm talking about. Well, that video is now demonetized, and if I wear that shirt again, probably the same thing's gonna happen. Big orange bowl. This is the last one. Look at that beautiful color. So I'm gonna have to modify the shirt. I'm gonna modify it. I'm not gonna stop wearing it. I'll just modify it. I'll find a way, don't worry. I'm not going to stop wearing my shirt. But so I've been put in the corner for the next 2 weeks on YouTube. It's very lovely. Nice. Don't say anything about that. They've been salted. Ooh. Most people come out of there with, you know, a basket of peaches or some tomatoes. I come out of there with petrified okra. What's wrong with me? This is the place I got those pies, those B&G pies. They had the peach pie. I didn't get it, but I did a video with the B&G peach pies. What did we do? We did cherry, apple, chocolate, and there was a fourth one. Cherry, apple, chocolate, and whatever the fourth one was. Well, they had the peach pie this time. I wish they'd had it when I was buying the pies last time, but they didn't have the peach flavor. Okay. So, I don't want any more okra. I'm sorry. I can't eat anymore. Maybe I'll have some in a little bit. All right. So, I want to tell you the story of Halloween first. Why I only got to go trick-or-treating once. I swear, I think I've told this story before, but maybe it was just in passing or something. Okay. I was 4. I think I was 4. I'm pretty sure. I was kind of small. I was a small child. I had never been trick-or-treating before. I don't know if my brother is older. And my brother had this bow and arrow that he loved to play with. He would set up little targets outside and shoot the arrow. You know, he got really good at it. Well, he wanted to be Robin Hood for Halloween. So my mother made him a costume. She sewed together. She made him a hat and, you know, just trying to make something that looks like Robin Hood. And then so she dressed me up as Maid Marian. Really, all she did was take one of my pink nightgowns and make me wear that. And then she made some sort of a headpiece thing with aluminum foil. I don't even know what it was. I tried to find a picture of it before I started this video. Somewhere I have a picture of the two of us dressed up. I couldn't find it. Sorry. So, in the picture, we're really excited. You can see that we're smiling. I look like I'm about to burst. I'm so excited because I wanted to go trick-or-treating, because I knew there'd be candy. I was so excited because my mother very rarely bought sweets. I mean, it was rare. It's usually just around Christmas time that we would get any kind of candy or anything. She just didn't buy it. She just didn't buy it very often. And she wouldn't buy sweetened cereal or anything like that. So I've always had an insatiable sweet tooth. So the prospect of getting candy, like I'm going to go to people's houses and ring their doorbell and they're just going to give me candy? What? We should do this every night, you know. So I was very excited. Okay. I still remember my mother had a green Ford Falcon sedan. It was built like a tank. It was a large sedan from Falcon, a Ford. And so we got in the car, and now we lived outside of town. We lived outside of a small town. We lived out in the middle of nowhere. We lived on a dirt road. We were the only house on the entire road. There were no other houses on this road. This road was almost 2 miles long, and there were no houses. It was just forest. It was just woods, and it was owned by a lumber company, except for we owned about 7 acres on this road. And all around us, just as far as you could go, it was just forest, just woods. So we had to drive into town to go trick-or-treating to find houses to go to. And in the small town nearby, there were not many streets or neighborhoods really, because it's a very small town, very small. But there were maybe 4 or 5 streets that you could go trick-or-treating. There were enough houses to, you know, stop and go. So we get to the first street, and I'm so excited. I remember so much about this night very vividly. So we get to the first street, and we were able to go to maybe 2 or 3 houses. And then my mother wanted us to get back in the car, and then we were going to go, I think we were going to go down to the end of the street. I'm not really sure why. We did the first half, and then she wanted to get in the car. Maybe she needed to move the car. I don't know. She wanted to go down to the end of the street and park down at the end. So we were just, we did the first few houses. She had us get back in the car, and then we started down the street. And we went past this one house, and there were these large shrubs in front of the house. Well, these boys jumped out of the shrubs. There were 2 or 3 like teenage boys jumped out, and they had cartons of eggs, and they were egging cars that were driving by. They didn't pick us in particular. They were just egging everybody that happened to drive by. They weren't hitting people walking by, but if you were in a car, they would throw eggs at you. And I still remember the sound of those eggs hitting the car. It looked like they were aiming at her windshield, and they got 4 or 5 eggs on the windshield and the hood of the car. I still remember what it sounded like when they hit the car because it was so weird. It was bizarre. My brother and I were in the back seat, and it was so weird. It was like, what's happening? I'd never been trick-or-treating before, so I didn't know if this was normal. Is this what people do when they go trick-or-treating? They throw eggs? Because I realized they were eggs because I heard the sound, and I looked over the seat. I was so small, I had to raise up to look over. It was a bench seat in the front. I had to look over the seat, and I saw that you could see the shells and the eggs just dripping down the windshield. And my mother, fortunately, knew not to turn the wipers on because it will just smear and then you won't be able to see. And she was very upset. But she didn't lose her cool or anything. Fortunately, about a block away, there was a car wash. And so she had to roll her window down to kind of be able to see out because it was like completely covering the windshield, and she couldn't see even though she didn't turn the wipers on. So she drove us. She carefully wanted to make sure, because there are people out walking, it's dark. She wanted to make sure she didn't hit anybody, but at the same time she needed to get the egg off the car. She was livid. She was furious. She was very angry. She didn't swear or anything. That would have really freaked me out because my mom never swears. But so I remember she pulled into one of the bays at the car wash, and she made sure all the windows were rolled up. And she got out, and she put some money in the thing and had the little hand sprayer for the water. So she just used water, and she was able to spray it. It's a high pressure wand, and she was able to spray all the eggshell and the egg off the car. And she put the sprayer away, and she got back in the car and slammed the door. And she didn't look at us, but she said, "We are never doing this again. Ever." And we never went trick-or-treating again. That was my only chance to ever go. I went to 2 or 3 houses, and she never took us again. That was the only time she ever did it. We never did anything else for Halloween, ever. Not one thing. I think that's why I kind of enjoy it now with my kids. It was very disappointing. It really was, because they would do stuff at school, for Halloween. She wouldn't even take us to that. I don't know. She was just over it. She was completely done. Like, we're never doing anything for Halloween again. If nothing else, it's a lesson to be learned. I don't know who those kids were. I have no idea. I don't imagine they expected that to be the end result, but I wish I could find them and say, that is a good example of how your behavior can have lasting effects on other people that you may have never anticipated. Because of what you did that night, I never got to go trick-or-treating again. I know you didn't expect that, but that's what happened I think she overreacted. I think that was a bit much, but that's how she responded to it. We're never doing this again, ever. And we never did. So I guess that's why I enjoy I did enjoy doing stuff with my kids. They've kind of aged out of that, though. You know, they're 11 and 15. They don't really get into it anymore. They don't seem to have any desire to do anything for Halloween at all. I mean, I would if they wanted to. We would find something to do, but they just don't care. But they did when they were little. Oh, they loved it. They looked forward to picking out their costumes. Several times I had to make their costume because they wanted to be something that you can't get a costume for. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I dressed up several times, you know, but I have a feeling this year there won't be much going on, you know, because of the pandemic. I can't imagine there will be much going on. Even, you know, I know it's a ways out, but I don't imagine there will be much going on for Halloween. It's sad. But I don't know that I'll do anything. I'll paint my Bob Ross painting. But I don't know. It's too soon to say what I'm going to do at this point. But that is my Halloween story. And, you know, we can learn from our parents. We can learn from everybody. You can learn good things. You can learn what you want to be, and you can also learn what you don't want to be. And I remember that night sitting in that bay at that car wash and hearing her say that we were never going to do it again. I try to remember that when I'm dealing with something that makes me very angry. I don't want to say something out of anger that I don't mean, or that it's an overreaction. I don't want to overreact to things, because I do think that was a bit of an overreaction. Hang on a minute. Olive's talking to me. She's very needy. Olive is our kitten. Well, she's not really so small anymore. She's definitely grown a lot. But sometimes she comes and begs at my door to come in, and it's very sad. She's very sweet, though. She loves to be picked up and carried around. I carry her around all the time. She just likes, I guess she likes to be up high to be able to see stuff. So she's become fascinated with my measuring tape. I have a desk downstairs, and then there's a drawer in the desk, and there's a measuring tape in there. And she goes to a lot of trouble to open that drawer and dig that tape out. She'll dig it out and get it in her mouth and then run away with it and then just leave it on the floor. And then there are Sharpie markers in there. She'll reach in there and knock them on the floor. Just because. No reason. That's just what she does. And if you put them back, she'll get them right back out. It's so funny. So yeah, I try to do things for my kids that I think they would enjoy, and I've really enjoyed the Halloween stuff with them, because I never got to do anything at all. So it's nice to finally have an opportunity. It's better late than never. You know, having kids gives you an excuse to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can still do it if you don't have kids, but I think it's even more fun with kids to go out and do that kind of stuff, and to see them get so excited when we go look at costumes and they're trying to pick out what they want to wear, and getting ideas for what they want to wear, and then when if it's something I have to make, they can work with me on that and give me ideas for how to do it. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So, and if I have grandkids one day, maybe I can continue to do that. So that's a ways off, but yeah, that would be cool too. I really enjoyed it when they were very small, like toddlers, because you can dress them as anything you want them to be, and they don't care. I remember I dressed one of them up as a skunk one year. Who was that? I think it was my younger son. I dressed up as a skunk when he was about 18 months old. Oh, he was the cutest little skunk. And no, yeah, it was him. And then the year after that, I think I had him wear a little turtle costume. I think it was a turtle. It's really cute. And my older son, I dressed him up as a little frog one year. It was before he could walk, I think, because I have pictures of me carrying him, and he's on a little, it's like basically like a onesie pajama kind of thing, but it looks like a frog. It's really cute. Yeah, but they get to a certain age and they won't let you just dress them in whatever anymore. What can I tell you? So that's my Halloween story. That's basically it. Oh, I remember this one time. when my kids were little, I worked at this law firm, and I worked there for almost 19 years. I don't work there anymore, but I lost that job when they went through a merger in 2018, and then I decided to go a different direction with my career, and I took a different type of job. I went elsewhere. And the cool thing is, the stuff I learned from that, I'm now going to get to do from home as a contract employee starting on August 31st, which is a bit scary. I've been setting up my home office and everything, and I got a lot to learn, but it's going to be okay. This one time, okay, so I worked in this law firm. Let's see, that was the year my younger son was, he was about a year and a half old. My older son would have been almost 6. No, 5. Yeah, almost 6. Or 5.5. I don't know. Anyway, he was older. And so they're both going down the hall, and I have pictures of them going down the hall. They're so cute. My older son, I think he was dressed up as a Transformer or something, like Optimus Prime or somebody. And they have their little buckets. And see what they did where I used to work? You could go to the different offices, the attorney's offices, and they would set out little things of candy. You could just go trick-or-treating in the building, and everybody would bring their kids. It was so much fun. The attorneys, the staff, everybody, if you wanted to, you could bring your kids and trick-or-treat in the building, and you would get so much candy. Oh my gosh. You would come out of there with pounds of candy. I mean, it was insane how much candy they would give you. Oh, my kids got spoiled. They got used to that. And then going regular trick-or-treating at houses was like, that's all we got. I said, you need to be grateful. They don't have to give you anything. But they got used to going to the firm and getting this huge thing of candy, But when my younger son was little, I think that was the year he was a skunk. I can still see him in his little skunk tail going back and forth as he runs down the hall. It was so cute. But my older son said, oh, no, because he was putting the candy in his bucket. He said, oh, no, you don't put the candy in your bucket. You put the candy in my bucket. You just hold your bucket. Your candy goes in my bucket. So he had his little brother put in all his candy. I said, no, you don't get all the candy. Nice try, though. That's pretty slick. He came up with that on his own because he knew his little brother would do anything he told him to. Because he looked up to him like a god, He's the big kid in the family. That was really funny. I wish I had that on video, but I can still remember it like I did. It was so cute. It was pretty clever, actually. I don't know that I would have thought of that. They're both really smart. I think they're awesome. But I know another story I can tell you. Okay, and I know I've told you this one before, but you may not have heard it. My kids get sick of my stories. I can't tell them my stories. They've heard them all 100 times. I want to tell you about a Christmas present I got. And I'm not going to tell you which ex it was. I have 3 ex-husbands. I have nothing to hide, I will tell you. I've been married 3 times. And I have 3 exes. I'm still on good terms with the 3rd. I refer to them as the Wicked Witch of the East, the Wicked Witch of the West, and Glinda the Good Witch. This has nothing to do with this story, but my first marriage was very short. So the Wicked Witch of the East in The Wizard of Oz you don't really ever see this witch. You don't know much about this witch. Doesn't play a big part in the story. All you know is that she was not a good person, and now she's gone. That's kind of like my first ex. Was not a big part of my life, really. Not a good person, and he's gone. So he's bye-bye. The Wicked Witch of the West was a much bigger part of the story, was more evil than her sister, Wicked Witch of the East. Causes problems throughout the entire story, and just generally seems to exist to create chaos and mayhem. That's the Wicked Witch of the West. And then Glinda the Good Witch is an ex, but he is the best of the bunch. We were just basically a blended family that didn't blend. Between the 2 of us, we had 5 boys under the age of 12, and we were all 7 of us, living under one roof. It just didn't work. We tried everything for 3 years, and it just it just didn't work. I mean, but we remained, it was a very amicable divorce. We didn't even have attorneys. I filed the divorce myself, and we kept it very simple. We just split everything up, but we remained on really good terms, and we still are. I'm not going to tell you which of the 3 exes this was. It doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant. Okay. It was this ex that made me realize my family has no holiday traditions whatsoever. We have none. Basically none. I'll explain that in a minute. I don't feel bad about it. It was just something I noticed. It was an observation. Okay, so this ex of mine is very involved with his family. And they have lots of traditions, and I never could keep track of all of them. There are so many that it's a very tight-knit family, and they do everything together. So that was one thing that was foreign to me, because my family's not really like that. We have, on both sides of my family, we have a reunion once a year, which didn't happen this year, but we get together for that. But most of my family, I don't see the rest of the year. I don't really keep up with anybody other than immediate family. I don't keep up with anybody else, really. But his family is very, very close. And it took some getting used to, because I wasn't used to that level of involvement with extended family. But that's the way they are. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with it. It was just very different. I wasn't used to that. Okay, so at Christmas time, it is expected that the entire family will go to his parents' house. And for Christmas morning, you have to be there by 10 o'clock, which was weird to me. Now, here's one thing about Christmas when I was a kid that I didn't even realize was unusual until I got older, and I started talking to other people and found out this was not normal. Okay, my mother, when my brother and I were born, put her foot down with my dad, because my dad wanted to go, Christmas morning we'll go to my parents and then we'll go to your parents. But after my brother and I were born, she said, no, we can go see people the other 364 days a year. Christmas Day is for us. We stay home. We are going to be together as a family. We are not going anywhere. We're not. We're going to stay home. We're going to enjoy the day together. We don't have to get the kids up, rush through opening the presents, go get dressed. Come on, we got to go. We're not doing that. We're going to stay right here, and we're going to enjoy the day together, and we're not going anywhere. And when she stuck to that, and we never did. On Christmas Day, it was the one day that we would all be at home together as a family. We would get up, open presents, and then, whatever. After that, you could just do whatever all day. We didn't go anywhere. Well, my ex didn't do that, and he said that was weird. He said, you don't go anywhere? I said, no, we never did. He said, well, in my family, we have to be at my parents' house by 10 on Christmas morning. I said, 10? 10 o'clock in the morning? That means we're going to have to get up at the butt crack of dawn, get the kids up, because they're going to have to have time to look through their stockings, open all the presents. They're going to have to go get dressed. You got to get ready to go, gather up stuff. I'm sure we're taking stuff over there. We're going to have to gather up stuff. We're going to have to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He said, well, yeah, that's what we do. I said I was kidding. 6 o'clock. He said, yeah, we need to be up by 6. And we need to make sure everybody hurries up and opens everything so we could go. I said, so they're not really going to get to enjoy opening presents, it sounds like. He said, they will come back later. But we would spend basically all day over there at his parents' house. Well, not all day, but we were there for like 4 or 5 hours with all of the family. I mean, like everybody, all the family. It was a packed house. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. Okay. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different. To me, that was just foreign. I was not used to this. So we get over there. Okay, and then the traditions begin. That's the first tradition. And then there's this thing, I've never heard of this. Now, his mother is very crafty. I don't mean like she's devious. I mean like she likes to make things like arts and crafts. Very good at it. She's amazing. Any kind of craft or anything you can think of, I promise you she has made it at some point. She's probably taught a class on it because she's just amazing. She makes her own wrapping paper. She makes her own Christmas ornaments. I mean, she's like Martha Stewart, on steroids or something. It's amazing. So we get one thing that she would do. She would get empty chapstick tubes. I don't know if she just melted the chapstick out of it. I don't know why they do this. It's very interesting. All of the kids and their spouses will have to go look, and they always have this big, beautiful tree with all of her handmade decorations. It looks like something in a magazine. It's different. It's totally different every year. Beautiful, big, beautiful tree. And this thing will be like 8 feet tall. And you have to go and look in the tree for the little chapstick tubes. And each child has to look until they find one. And in that tube will be $50. So you give back the tube. I guess she just reuses the tubes every year. But every kid and their spouse will get $50. That's just a start. I mean, it's amazing. So I had never heard of anybody doing that. It's interesting. And I got to do it. So that was cool. But you had to look. But she would nestle them way in the tree. So you really would have to look. But I was so afraid I would mess up an ornament or something. I didn't want to shift anything around because this tree was just covered in all these ornaments that she had made. It was just, and it would be a whole color scheme, and it was different every year. It's incredible what she would do. So that was the first thing. And then another thing that they would do, all under the tree would just be packed with presents. Tons of presents for all of her kids, their spouses, all the grandkids, everybody. And everybody's there. And so they would have the kids open their presents first. And one thing they do that kind of I wasn't aware of this until the first Christmas I went over there. And then so the kids would go, and then the adults would open their presents. One thing I was not aware of was that they do this thing called, they do joke boxes, which I had never seen that. Nobody in my family does that. In my family, I wrapped all of the presents except my own from the time I was 8. I was put in charge of wrapping presents because my mom didn't. It's not that she hated Christmas. To her, it just seemed like a lot of bother. It was like a lot of trouble, and she didn't really enjoy it. She talked about Christmas like it was an upcoming dental appointment that she didn't really look forward to. It's like, oh, Christmas. She never had anything good to say about it, and she was always glad when it was over. So all I did, and what we would do, because both of my parents said I'm not spending good money on wrapping paper, we would just save the comics, the funnies from the Sunday papers for several weeks before it was time to wrap presents. So I would have big sheets of funnies to wrap presents in. So I would just put it in whatever box I had available, or just put it in no box at all and just wrap it and put a name on it in whatever recycled bow I could find somewhere. Most of them didn't even have bows on them. So I was not familiar with joke boxes or how you were supposed to respond to the joke boxes. Apparently, they don't seem to do joke boxes for kids. It's just not the grandkids. They do it for the adults. So what you're supposed to do, so you open it, because one of the first present I opened was in a Pop-Tart box. So I'm taking the paper off very carefully because it's this beautiful paper she's made, and I feel weird tearing it, so I'm trying to delicately open it. And I realized it's a Pop-Tart box, and I didn't know what to say, and they're all looking at me like, and I'm going, what? It's Pop-Tarts? But it's light. It was light. I could tell it wasn't Pop-Tarts. It felt like there was something else in there. And they said, isn't that funny? It's a Pop-Tart box. I bet you didn't expect that. Like, no. So I have like 20 people looking at me going, huh? I'm going, I didn't know what they wanted. I'm sitting there, and I think I literally said, I don't know what you want. I'm thinking, please God, just stop looking at me. I don't know. Please stop looking at me. Apparently what you were supposed to do, I think there was jewelry or something in there. Anyway, so they'll take a box, like a Pop-Tart box, just some random box. It was usually a food box of some sort, or a diaper box, or just some random box of some sort. And then they put your actual present in there. Well, what you're supposed to do, what I was supposed to do, and I was not aware of this, when you open it, you are supposed to have an exaggerated response. You are supposed to be righteously indignant that you were given this thing. I was supposed to go, Pop-Tarts? What kind of ridiculous present is that? Ew, I don't even like Pop-Tarts. Why would you buy me Pop-Tarts? That's what you're supposed to do. I didn't know that. I've never heard of that. This goes so far beyond anything anybody in my family ever did for any holiday or any occasion in my entire life. Well, I figured that out because somebody else opened a present and it was in like a Ritz crackers box or something. And that's what she did. Ritz crackers. What kind of present is that? It was the weirdest thing. And then she opens it and then she goes to, well, I guess I better just open it. And then, oh, look, it's a necklace, and then you're supposed to be, yee. So that's how it goes with joke boxes. Everybody gets at least one joke box every Christmas. Okay, so I got this down pat. So I work on my exaggerated response for next year. And I was all right the second year. I don't even remember what I got, but I did the response properly and everyone, it seemed to meet with the approval of the other people in the room. It's stressful. It felt like a performance. But anyway, here's what happened though. Here's where it became a problem. And I think I'm fully excused here. I think it's understandable why I reacted the way I did. All right, so the third Christmas. Now, this was our last Christmas together. Things were not going well. And, yeah. We had already pretty much figured out that we weren't going to be able to stay together. But we hadn't told anybody. So we go over there. Oh, in the week or so leading up to Christmas, he asked me, he said, what do you want for Christmas? My parents want to know what they can get you for Christmas. And I said, honestly, I can't think of anything. I don't know of anything I want. I'm racking my brain. I can't think of anything. He said, well, they could do a gift card somewhere. I said, that's fine. You can't go wrong with that. That's okay. Because honestly, I don't know of anything I want. And I didn't. I couldn't think of anything I wanted. It's hard when you're an adult sometimes to come up with stuff. But then one day, this was maybe a week before Christmas, he said, don't worry about the present, for my parents. I figured out something. I thought of the perfect thing. I told them what to get you, and they said they're going to get it. I said, what did you tell them? He said, don't worry about it. I told them what you would like to have. So I thought of something, and so I told them that. I said, okay, that's all right. And I didn't think any more about it. So we go over there, 10 a.m. Actually, we got there. Oh, it was a problem. I remember it was a problem because for some reason we were running late and we didn't get there right at 10. We got there at like 10:15. I don't remember what it was. But getting out of the house with 5 kids on Christmas morning is not easy. And I remember it was a problem and he was really stressed. He was really, really stressed. He was like, we're running late. I said, it's Christmas morning. I think it'll be okay. But we got there and they already had their schedule going. All the other kids had already found their chapsticks and the kids were waiting to open their presents. And it was really awkward because they walked in like, we were waiting for y'all. We had to wait for you to get here, and the kids have really wanted to open their presents, but we couldn't because you weren't here and your kids weren't here and we didn't want to start without them. And I'm thinking, why this stress? Why? Stop. This is crazy. But it's their family, it's their stuff. Far be it from me to say anything. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It was just, I keep going back in my mind to, it's Christmas morning. Do we have to rush everything? Can we just calm down a little bit? Okay, so the kids open their presents. And then the other adults are opening theirs. And somehow, I don't remember, I got waylaid somewhere. I ended up having to do something or something happened and I wasn't able to open my presents when everybody else did. And I don't remember, something happened. And so everybody else is opening their presents and, you're having the righteous indignation. What is this, a blender box? They just doing their thing. Oh, it's a container of ice cream. What? You can't put that under the tree. So I get to mine and it's a huge box. It is massive. This thing is probably 3 feet tall. It's, it's a huge box. And I'm looking at it like, what is that? And the only thing that came to my mind was jewelry armoire. I thought that's got to be what that is. I mean, it's huge. And I couldn't think of anything else because at that time I only had 2 jewelry armoires and they were both full. I hadn't told him anything I wanted, but I thought maybe it's a 3rd jewelry armoire. I do have 3 now, but that's not what was in that box. If you've heard this story before, I'm sorry. But, okay. So, everybody's watching me. I remember that because everyone had opened their presents already. And his mom struggles to bring the box over. It was clearly kind of heavy. So she's struggling. Here you go. And I was sitting here and she said, here, Mary, you haven't opened your present yet. You got to open your present. Everybody's looking at me and I hate for people to look at me, which I know is weird because I have this channel, but there's nobody in here looking at me, so that it's different somehow. I don't like people looking at me. It really bothers me. I really prefer everybody to just look somewhere else. Just forget I'm here. Believe it or not, that's the way I am in real life. So everybody's looking at me, and I try to just block it out. Like, just forget it. So there's this big box, and it's right in front of me, and I'm sitting, and it's like this tall, and I'm looking at it like, it's got to be a jewelry armoire. I know that's what it is. It's too big to be anything else, and it's obviously heavy. And it sounds like something he would tell him to get me. And it was in about the price range of what they would spend on a present for one of the kids, So I carefully start to peel the paper away because, again, it's handmade paper. It's beautiful. I didn't want to mess it up. It was gorgeous. And I'm peeling it away. And I look at the box, and I realize it's a vacuum cleaner box. So in my mind, automatically I go, oh, joke box. Okay, you got to do the thing. You got to do the reaction. Now his mother is sitting right across from me. She's like right over there. And I can see, she's watching me. And I thought she was waiting for the appropriate joke box response of, oh my God. And I said, I got a little bit out. And I said something like, oh my God, a vacuum cleaner. What am I supposed to do with it? What kind of present is that? And I happened to look over at his mother, and she had this look on her face of absolute horror. Just like, and I realized, and this all happened within the matter of about 2 seconds. And I thought, oh my God, it is a vacuum cleaner. Oh, shit. So I had to kind of go, oh, a vacuum cleaner. Oh my goodness. And I continued to open it, but it didn't work. So I continued talking about how, oh, that's wonderful. Because, see, our vacuum cleaner in our house, we had one for the upstairs and one for the downstairs. And the vacuum cleaner for the upstairs was my old vacuum cleaner. But it had died. It had a short or something, and it just died. So I had made a comment that, oh, we need to get another vacuum cleaner because the one downstairs is really heavy and it was hard lugging it up the stairs. I said, we need to get another vacuum cleaner for upstairs. Because we both had talked about it because we hated dragging that one up and down the steps. So, all right, I'm thinking, all right, you got to say nice things about the vacuum cleaner because you've blown it. You've got to try to recover. So I continue carefully peeling the paper off, and I say, this is wonderful because we needed a vacuum cleaner upstairs. This is going to make it so much easier. Oh, look, it's a Dirt Devil. Oh, look, it has these features. It's bagless. That's great. Thank you so much. And it was great because we did need it. But we got out to the car, and I've never been unappreciative of a gift. I was appreciative, but my thing was, okay, spouse, why would you tell them to buy me a vacuum cleaner for Christmas? Because we got out to the car, and he got in, and the kids were still coming out, so it was just the two of us for a second in the car. I said, what was that about? What was that? He said, what? I said, a vacuum cleaner? Really? He said, well, you said we needed one. I said, yeah, but you said you figured out the perfect thing to give me. He said, well, I thought you would want that for Christmas. I said, we needed one for the upstairs. There's a difference between we need this and, oh, I really hope I get this for Christmas. I said, don't give people vacuum cleaners for Christmas, because I just made a fool of myself in there. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was another one of the joke boxes. I never in any universe ever said I wanted a vacuum cleaner for Christmas. But he thought he thought that's what I wanted. And he said, well, they asked me, when I told them that you wanted it, they asked me if I was sure. And I said, well, yeah, she'd love to get one for Christmas. So they were kind of going, are you really? You want to give her that? I mean, for Christmas? Even if someone were to tell me they wanted a vacuum cleaner for Christmas, I would just go buy them one and give it to them outright. I don't think I could wrap it up and put it under the tree. I couldn't do it. And I feel bad because that was their last experience with me for Christmas. I don't feel too bad about it though. Well, his mother came to me afterwards, when we had a moment alone. She said, I'm really sorry. He said you wanted a vacuum cleaner. I said, oh no, it's great. I didn't know what to say. I said, no, it's wonderful. We really can use it. And that's true. We could use it. It was so embarrassing because she felt bad. She knew I didn't really want it. But it's not that I was that offended by it. It's just I thought I was supposed to do an over-the-top reaction to the box. I would never have said that. If I had thought for real it was a vacuum cleaner, I would never have said that stuff. I made the over-the-top reaction because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. So it was very awkward. But honestly, I don't feel too bad about it. You know what my other present was? And this is why I don't feel too bad. Even though never mind. No, the other present his mother got me, she picked out, was a selfie stick. And I opened it and she goes, yeah, I knew that was the perfect present for you. I know how much you love taking pictures of yourself. Yeah, I mentioned that to my ex, and he said, oh, you're reading into that wrong. She didn't mean anything by that. I said, she literally did. That was kind of a backhanded something. I said, yeah, that was just an interesting choice of words for the gift that she gave me. So I didn't feel too bad. Like, whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. I knew it was going to be my last Christmas doing that. So I thought, well, that's not the way I meant for it to end, but so be it. I can't change anything about it now. So that was the most awkward Christmas present I've ever gotten. That was the most awkward, I think that was the most awkward Christmas period I've ever had. It was really awkward. Yeah. So it's never going to happen again. I don't have to worry about it. But it was, yeah, I realized that. But yeah, I realized that my family has never really done anything for any holiday. Christmas was the bare minimum. It was always, I think if my parents could have skipped Christmas every year, they would have. Neither one of them really liked Christmas all that much. I don't know why. But looking back, for their Christmases, their parents didn't really do much either. It just wasn't a big deal. They didn't have much money, so it's not like there were a lot of presents. They would get a little bit of stuff, and that's all. And it was very bare bones kind of stuff. And so I was wrapping all the presents except mine from age 8 on up through when I went off to college at 17. I was still wrapping everybody's presents. My neighbor has bought a Harley, and he rides. I think he's like scared to go out on the road with it, so he just goes up and down the street in that on the Harley. Yesterday, he went up and down that street. I bet he went up and down 15 times in the span of an hour and a half. He's going to take off here in a minute, and he'll go up, and then he'll come back. It's very loud. Trip no longer has his vroom vroom bike. I know this isn't a gossip video, but it's so funny. As soon as the vroom vroom bike disappears, the Harley shows up, and it's just as loud as the vroom vroom bike. He's sitting in his driveway right now, and it's just idling. No, here he comes. Usually he'll whoom, whoom, whoom. No, he didn't do it that time. Maybe he's getting better. He goes whoom, whoom, whoom. He does the... Anyway. So our Christmases were really very minimal. We would not have had a tree if it weren't for me every year. Now here's what my dad would say. If you can imagine, here's my dad, only with a much, believe it or not, a much stronger Southern accent than mine. He would say, we live in the middle of the woods. I'm not paying good money for a Christmas tree. If you want a tree, get your machete and go out in the woods and find one. So that's exactly what I would do. About 2 weeks or so before Christmas, I would start wandering around out in the woods. And that's one of my favorite things to do. I love to be outside, out in the woods. And I love to be outdoors. I hated to be stuck in the house. So I would start going all through the woods trying to find a tree that would work as a Christmas tree. And usually all you could find was some scraggly Charlie Brown looking tree that was just very sad. But it was either that or nothing, because they refused. They're like, no, I'm not paying money for a tree. Go out there and find one and cut it down and bring it home. So I started doing that when I was about 9 or 10. Before that, we had this it was an artificial tree that looked like it was made out of pipe cleaners that somebody gave my dad. I don't know where it came from. But then it got so bedraggled, they threw it away. It was bedraggled when we got it. But we used it for a couple of years, and then I think it got thrown out. And after that, I was told that we will not be spending money on a tree. If you want one, go find one. And I would go out and I would try to find either a shortleaf pine or a cedar tree, because those were really the only two that would work. And they weren't great. I have several pictures of the sad trees. So I'd start looking about 2 weeks before Christmas. And then we did have one of the metal Christmas tree stands you could put the water in. I remember this problem. So I would go out and look for a tree. And then about a week before Christmas, I'd go on out there and go to the one I'd found, and I would cut it and bring it home. The only problem was most of them were really small. They were only like that big around, especially the cedar trees, because they don't get very big. The shortleaf pines, because you don't want a great big one, they're not very big around. And you put it down in that Christmas tree stand, and I would have to put pieces of wood or something in there to hold it, because it was so skinny that you couldn't even wind the things up enough to hold it. But so I would find that. And we had this one really pathetic box of sad ornaments. I mean, they were like scraping the bottom of the barrel at a yard sale. That's the kind of, I don't even know where these ornaments came from. They were very old, very sad ornaments, mismatched. A lot of them were ones that my brother and I had made in school. So it's like made out of construction paper and staples, and it has crayon on it. But that's all we had for decorations. And we had this one angel, and I still have it. This sad looking angel. And I would try to attach it to the top, but it was always too heavy, and it would won't the top of the tree over like that, because it was a Charlie Brown tree. But I would do the best I could to try to make the tree look pretty. I would decorate it and try my best to make it look nice, but it always just looked really, really pathetic. But it was better than no tree at all, because if I hadn't done that, we wouldn't have a tree. Nobody wanted to decorate it. Nobody wanted to do anything with it. I would have to go out and get it, bring it home, set it up, and decorate it. And that's why I really enjoy doing it now, is that I can do anything I want. I had 2 Christmas trees last year. I'm going to have 2 again this year, and I'm going to do them completely differently. I'm going to do one in pink and silver. It's a white artificial tree. We're going to do it in pink and silver. And the other one is going to be, it's a green artificial tree, and it's going to be done in kind of a rustic style with lots of reds and browns and just rustic, like in a log cabin kind of stuff. It's going to be like that. So I thoroughly enjoy it, because I would have loved, oh my goodness, I wish I could take just one box of some of these ornaments back to my little self as a kid. Oh, I would have been over the moon to have that box of ornaments. Oh my goodness. Oh, I would have made that tree so pretty. Oh my gosh. That would have meant so much. But like I said, Christmas was bare bones. Like, nobody in my house gave a crap about Christmas except me. I would always get excited about Christmas. And it wasn't just about presents and stuff. I just enjoyed the feeling in the air at Christmas. It's just exciting. You know, you have all the TV specials that would come on. You know, you have Rudolph and Frosty the Snowman and the Peanut, you know, the Charlie Brown Christmas. And I would always get excited about getting to watch those. And, you know, we didn't have... You couldn't watch it whenever you wanted to back then. You had to wait till it came on TV. So it was always exciting. I would always check the TV guide to see when they were going to come on. And I would mark them to make sure I didn't miss them. I always got excited. Everybody else in my house, including my brother, when it came to Christmas, they were all just kind of like, meh, whatever. They did not care. I cared. I thought it was great. I still do. I still get excited about Christmas. But... Christmas, we didn't get a lot for Christmas because we didn't have a lot of money. But so we would get up, and the rule was we could not wake our parents up until after 7 a.m. We had to wait until 7. Oh, and Christmas Eve night, this is one tradition we did have. Christmas Eve night, my mom would pick one little present for my brother and me, and it was always just a little something, and we could open it Christmas Eve night, and it was always just a little, you know. But it was so exciting because we always wondered, what's our present going to be? What are we going to get to open the night before Christmas? And this one year, I remember the one thing she had me was a little different. She got me this Barbie sleeping bag, and it was the thickest, softest sleeping bag. It was like sleeping on a cloud. And I laid it on top of my bed. That was my Christmas Eve night present. And I laid it on top of my bed, and I got in, and it was so comfortable. Oh, I think that was the best night's sleep I've ever had. And actually, the next morning, she had to come wake me up because I overslept. I didn't even wake up. So she came in there and woke me up the next morning to open presents. But we would have a stocking with little bits of candy in it. You know, it was mainly just little Hershey's Kisses or whatever. Maybe a little tiny present or two in there. We could open our stockings as soon as we woke up, but we couldn't wake up our parents till after 7. And we couldn't open any presents either. And everything was wrapped. That's another thing that I found out is unusual. A lot of people, they'll have unwrapped presents under the tree from Santa. My parents never pushed the whole Santa thing. First of all, because we didn't have many presents anyway. We would only get maybe 4 presents. And they didn't really have enough to have extras for Santa to give. And my mom was not big on the whole Santa thing. Santa was not a big thing in my house. It was not something that my parents pushed at all. So all the presents were wrapped, and we were not allowed to open them until our parents were up. So we had to wait till 7 to wake them up. And I'm always like, ee! And my brother's a lot more laid back than me. He's just like, whatever, I don't care. Go wake him up, I guess. He didn't get excited about it much at all. He's just very even-keeled, and I'm all over the place, you know. He's just like this, you know, and I'm, whoo. So I'd run in there and wake him up right at 7 o'clock. And then I would be all just jumping around and excited, you know, and my parents are like half dead. They're trying to get up, and they're sleepy, and, you know. So then they would watch us open our presents, and it didn't take long because we didn't have many. It would take like 5 minutes. And then we could play with our toys. Usually my parents, they'd have a cup of coffee and then go back to bed or something. They didn't care. They would open their presents and, and then they just went back to sleep, I think, usually. But yeah, so we didn't have, that was, I guess, really our only tradition was the Christmas Eve night present, which I thought was cool, and really no talk of Santa. I don't feel like I missed out. People have asked me, do you feel like you missed something because of that? No, I don't feel like I missed anything. My mother, when she was always told that Santa was real and gave her presents, and she said when she found out Santa was not real, she was devastated. She was heartbroken, and then she started wondering if her parents had lied to her about other things. And that was part of her decision not to push it on us, not to even really mention Santa. So, but it wasn't a big deal. It was like a non-issue. So, that was Christmas. Thanksgiving, ooh, look at that one. Thanksgiving, we didn't do anything. I mean, no, we didn't go anywhere. My grandparents didn't do anything. Thanksgiving was like a non-event in my family. Every year at Thanksgiving, for dinner that night, my mother would go to the store and buy like a turkey breast and just cook that and make a pan of dressing. She made this really good dressing. I need to do a video of it. It's very simple though. You take the original Pepperidge Farm stuffing mix. It comes in that blue and white bag. It's the original. There are different types. You take that blue and white dressing mix, the original, put it in a pan or like a bowl, and you pour in chicken broth or whatever kind of broth you have, and then just shredded pieces of turkey. Just any dark meat, I think, tastes the best. And you just shred it and mix it in and put an egg in there to bind everything together, and you just mix it until it just becomes this mushy mess. And then you take a pan, like a cookie sheet, and you spread it evenly over the pan until it's about an inch thick. And then you bake it until it's crunchy and golden brown, and then you can cut it and eat it. We never put stuff in the turkey. We never had whole turkey. You just get the turkey breast and use part of that to make the pan of dressing. It's actually really good. It's very easy to make. But that's it. That's all you do. I don't know how I feel about these things. Almost tastes like insulation with okra flavor. I can't eat many of those at a time. What's in these things? Okra, dextrin, salt, non-hydrogenated canola oil. Alright. I got a lot left over. Look at that. I offered them to my kids. They looked at me like I was insane. They both hate okra. I don't know what they're missing. Yeah, but Thanksgiving, that's all we did. And the only difference was we would have turkey and dressing that night for dinner. Well, my dad wouldn't. My dad hates turkey and he hates dressing. So she would have to make a whole separate meal for him because he hates that stuff. He hates Thanksgiving food. That's it. That would be there wouldn't be anything else. There might be a can of cranberry sauce. It makes that suction sound and comes out and is shaped like the can. Slice it up. There you go. There might be some of that. That's it. That's all we do. We wouldn't go anywhere. We wouldn't do anything. I never even knew there was a parade on TV for Thanksgiving until I was in college. And I happened to be at home one day and I saw it on TV. I never knew that was a thing. What other holidays? We didn't do anything for any other thing. That was another thing with my ex. His family does something for every holiday. Oh, they have traditions for every holiday. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Independence Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Flag Day, you name it. They have They have traditions that they do every year, and they take the same trips every year. They go places the same places every year. They do. It's tiresome. I don't know how they keep up with it and do anything else, but every holiday they do stuff, which is awesome. I'm not saying it's bad. It's awesome, but it's still so foreign to me. I never got used to it. I come from a family where we don't do anything for any holiday, and that was just weird. Like, when do y'all have time to do stuff on your own? Gosh, it's a lot. But they enjoy it. It's a very close family, and it seems like it works for them. So that's good. I think that's good. It's just very different from what I'm used to. So, oh, and birthdays. Yeah, my family never really did a lot for birthdays. My mom might make you a cake, get you a present, and that's about it. But I will say the best birthday party I ever had was when I turned 6. At that time, I was going to this small school, and there were only maybe 10 kids in my class. It was very small. And my mom wanted to have a party. She said, "Do you want to do a party for your birthday?" I said, "Sure." Yeah, I'd never had a party. I didn't know. I said, "Sure." So she invited all the kids from my class. There were 10 or 12 kids there. It wasn't a lot. They all came. All the kids came to my party, and it was so exciting. And this was a common thing back in the 70s when I was 6, back in the late 70s. But this was very common, at least where I grew up, where now a lot of people, when their kids have their birthdays, they go do these expensive parties, at places like bounce houses or Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. You can easily spend $500 on one of these packages for these parties. It's crazy. No, parents back when I was a kid, they would have laughed. They would have scoffed at that idea. No. Here's what you do for a kid on their birthday. You have their friends over to the house. You make a cake, maybe get some ice cream, and they can run around and play in the house for a while and open some presents, and then the other kids go home. That's it. And that's what we did. And it sounds so simple. It was the best day. I think I have some pictures from that, but we had the best time. Now, see, again, I lived out in the middle of nowhere, but it was so exciting because you could see cars coming in. It's like, who's that? Who's that? Oh, it's hey, so-and-so. It was so exciting to see them all come, and everybody came. The whole class was at my house. It was great. It was so wonderful. And we had a trampoline in the backyard. Somebody gave my dad a large, huge rectangular trampoline mat and the springs to go with it. And my dad made a frame out of scrap metal that he had. He made a frame to fit it and cemented it down in the ground. So we had a trampoline back there. It was huge. And he made a little platform. You could go up the steps and there's a little platform. He made the whole thing. And I have some pictures of us out there on the trampoline, and there was no supervision. It was like everybody just leaves their kids at the house, and my mom's there. My dad, I don't know where, my dad wasn't even there. I don't know where he was. I think he was probably at work or something. But yeah, my mom just left us to our own devices. Like, y'all go play, go outside. And we jumped on the trampoline. We ran around the house. We came in. I showed them all the stuff in my room. And it was so much fun. It was just completely free play. It wasn't structured at all. We had a ball. The only time my mom got mad about anything was one of the kids came in the house. He got this idea. He wanted to put some water on the trampoline for some reason. I don't know. So he went in the house, and in one of the cabinets in the kitchen, he found one of my mom's big Tupperware bowls, and he filled it with water in the kitchen and carried it out to throw it on the trampoline. And she got mad because he had taken her good Tupperware outside. She wasn't mad that he was throwing water on the trampoline. She was just ticked off that he took her good bowl out there, And she yelled at him. We lived in a trailer, and it had these crank windows, like in an old RV or something. So I still remember I was outside, and she cranked the window over the kitchen sink over, and she yelled his name and said, "You better bring that bowl back in here." That's my good Tupperware. She wasn't laughing though. She was mad. You bring my good Tupperware back in here and don't you take it back outside. I distinctly remember that. She was ill because he took that bowl out there. That was the only incident. We played all day. My mom made a cake. We had Neapolitan ice cream. I still remember, the little half-gallon thing with the 3 flavors. We had that and cake. And they stayed, it was like 2 to 4 or something like that, or 2 to 5. It was 2 or 3 hours. And they ran and we ran and played and we had the best time. We had cake and ice cream and I opened my presents, and some kids brought presents, some didn't. I didn't care. I was just happy to have everybody there. I thought it was great. And back then that's just how parties were done. You didn't do expensive, elaborate parties. The whole thing cost my mom whatever she had in making the cake and getting a thing of ice cream. That was basically it. I mean, it's not an expensive affair. When my younger son turned 10, we did something similar for him. Because I asked him, I said, what do you want to do for your birthday? He said, well, I said, do you want to go somewhere? He said, not really. He said, I thought I would like to have some friends over. I said, that's perfect. I said, that's perfect. We can do that. How many kids do you want to invite? He said, just 3. My three best friends. I want to invite my 3 best friends. And I said, okay, yeah, absolutely. And I thought, we'll do it the same way. And I had them over, and all 3 of them came. And so we had them come over at lunchtime, and we had pizza. And then we had it was a piñata. I can't remember what the shape was. I think it was like not a star, but it was kind of like a star, full of candy. And we were going to put it up in the backyard for them to hit it, but it started raining. So what we ended up having to do was we cleared everything in the living room, and I stood on the coffee table because I didn't know what else to do. And I held it out, and I said, just don't worry with the blindfold. Just please don't hit it too hard. And don't hit my hand. It was on a long thing, so my hand was like way up here. So they hit it, and I can't remember which one of his friends hit it, but the candy went everywhere. It just exploded. They thought that was awesome, so they're running around grabbing candy and stuff. But they ran around and played. He was so excited. He cleaned up his room all by himself. I didn't even say anything. He said, well, I don't want him to see it messy. And he took his favorite toys and he kind of lined them up on his chest of drawers. He said, I want him to see these toys first. I'm going to put them right where they're going to see them when they come in the door. He was so excited. Oh. And so he had everything nice and neat, just the way he wanted it. And all of his, his friends, his 3 best friends got to come over, and they had the best time. Oh, they did. They were all so great. It was awesome. They were so well behaved. And they brought presents, and we opened presents, and yeah, he's back. There you go. Yeah. I'm treated to that over and over and over. He'll leave again shortly. He just goes and comes right back. It's like he's scared to go very far from home. Maybe he's a new motorcycle person. I don't know. But yeah, they had a great time. They had a great time. And one of the parents, it was so funny. One of the kids' parents was she was a young mom. I don't know how old she was, but a lot younger than me. Well, I had him when I was almost 35, so I guess maybe they call it a geriatric pregnancy. No, I was almost 36. I was 35. It was a geriatric pregnancy. If you're over 35, it's geriatric. What? I mean, I understand, but it's just, I never expected the term geriatric to be used. That hit hard. But this one mom, she was so wide-eyed. She said, that is an amazing idea for a party. So you just had them come over and you didn't have anything planned or anything? They just played? I said, yeah. Wow, it looks like they had a great time. I'm going to have to try that. Like, yeah. Yeah. It was called everyday birthday parties when I was growing up, but she thought it was this radical idea that I'd come up with. Like, not really. So I'm going to have to try that. That's awesome. Yeah, and cheap too. Doesn't cost much. So I don't really have anything else to talk about, and I don't want to eat any more okra chips. So I think my ramble is done. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon.